can you talk about economic dignity and how we can take lessons learned from this crisis and apply them to treating our essential workers better?
Well, one of the things that has been very discouraging, again, in the discussion of the $600 is this concept that if we save the nation, if you are poor, we have to hold your poverty in place. The very people who have been laid off did essential work, and this is their thanks. I liken it to you're on the Titanic, and the millionaires are arguing that the people in steerage should not be on the lifeboats because those lifeboats have better accommodations than steerage. And since they didn't pay for those accommodations, they shouldn't be in the lifeboats. I mean, that's what it sounds like. We have to raise the wages of workers so that work has dignity, so that workers have enough safety and savings so that they can make it through losing one paycheck, two paychecks. We have to think about the workers who are the grocery workers, who are the meat packing workers, who all are getting paid so low and yet face such high risk of losing their lives. The disparate impact of death among Black and Latinos is because those workers are still out there. They're not sheltering in place. They are being exposed. And the hospitalization for Latinos, half the hospitalizations are people 18 to 40. These are working age people. They're not elderly people. They're not even people with comorbidity factors. It's not true for African Americans either.
So can I actually think part of the reason why the $600 is such a flashpoint is because we've sent all this additional money to people who are out of work. We've had no bonuses going to the essential workers who are going to work. So I actually would be in favor of like a pandemic wage subsidy or pandemic earned income tax credit to compensate and acknowledge the real struggles and the dignity of the essential workers who are going to work and who have been going to work throughout this crisis. They've borne a large brunt of this, and we've done nothing to compensate them. I mean, I hate to end on like a controversial note, but it struck me lately because that, a big issue with getting kids back to school is people worrying about the health of the teachers, which is 100% appropriate. But it makes me wonder, why has that conversation not been happening with regard to grocery store workers, right? Or all the people who are still going out to work every day and exposed, the city bus drivers, like their health and safety really needs to be prioritized too. And the sacrifices and the risks they've been taking need to be acknowledged. And so I think that's true both during this crisis, but probably to the questioner's point more broadly, and this relates to themes that Bill's been talking about, we need to get back to a place where low wage workers have meaning in their work and are compensated accordingly in a way that they could build assets for their family and live with economic security.
Thank you. Sonia, do you want to add?
Yeah, I was just going to say that I do think that in the moment, we also need to respect essential workers by providing them the protections that they need, from everything from all this protective gear, but also in the case of Latino workers, I would say, just being essential workers, particularly in the food industry, it's ironic that they're, farm workers, meat processing plants, delivering and shelving food. And yet we're fighting for inclusion on expanding SNAP, trying to get trying to address food security for children in mixed status families. Like, this should not be a fight. We should be investing in, but also taking care of. And it says a lot about what our priorities are as a country, what our values are as a country, if we are, talking about one set of issues here and yet excluding immigrants, excluding children or mixed status family households, that type of thing. It needs to be the conversation about inclusivity and also about respect, frankly.